A Chinese Coast Guard ship used a powerful water cannon on the Sunday, then rammed and slightly damaged an anchored Philippine government vessel off an island inhabited by the Filipinos in the disputed South China Sea, the Philippine Coast Guard had said. Also, there were no injuries among the Filipino crewmen of the BRP Datu Pabugya, part of the fisheries fleet that also provides support to the Filipino, that of the fishermen's. Also, the Chinese Coast Guard triggered that the Pagbaya of the Philippines occurred T2 Island in the last and the latest flare-up of the long-simmering territorial disputes involving the Manila, the Beijing, and the four other governments. The Chinese Coast Guard also accused the Philippine vessels of illegally entering what it called the Chinese waters near a cluster of sandbars known as the Sandy Cay, which also lies between the T2 and the China's artificial island base called the Subi, and ignoring repeated stern warning from the Chinese side. It also said that it took control measures against the Philippine, also the vessels, in accordance with the law and resolutely drove them away. China has repeatedly restated its sovereignty and control over virtually the entire South China Sea, a major trade route, despite a 2016 arbitration ruling that invalidated its historic claims. That ruling has been rejected by the China, but supported by the United States and its Western and Asian allies, including Japan, Australia, the European Union, and Canada. The US immediately condemned the China's aggressive action in defiance of the international law and expressed support for the Philippines, a close Asian treaty ally. United States Ambassador to the Manila, that is Mary Kay Carlson, also praised the Filipino personnel involved in the incident for their tremendous valor and skill in the face of China's dangerous ramming and the use of the water cannons. The Pabgya also and the two other Bureau of the Fisheries and Aquatic Resources vessels were anchored in the territorial waters of the T2 called the Pagasa by the Philippines when the Chinese Coast Guard and suspected militia ships suddenly approached and staged the dangerous and provocative maneuvers that the Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson, that is Commodore J. Tarvila, also said in the statement. He also added that such aggressions would not prompt Manila to surrender a square inch of our territory to any foreign power. A Chinese Coast Guard ship with the bow number 21559 fired its water cannon directly at the BRP Datu Pagbaya, also hitting the vessels, then rammed the stern of the Philippine fisheries vessel 3 minutes later, causing minor structural damage but no injuries to the crew. Video issued by the Philippine Coast Guard shows a Chinese Coast Guard ship firing off the water cannon hitting the vessels and the two Philippine flags. The Filipino manned ship is now seen moving away from the Chinese Coast Guard ship. Despite these bullying tactics and aggressive actions, the Philippine Coast Guard and the Bureau of the Fisheries and the Aquatic Resources remain resolute, Tarila said. We will not be intimidated or driven away. Also in the Beijing, the Chinese Coast Guard spokesperson, that is Liu Dijun, also said in the statement that the two Philippine vessels illegally entered water near the Sandy Cay, which the China calls the Tixin Reef, without the permission of the Chinese government. Also, one dangerously approached the Chinese Coast Guard vessel, causing a scrape, he said. The responsibility rests entirely with the Philippine side, Liu said, accusing the Philippines of undermining the peace and stability in South China Sea, and sternly warned the Southeast Asia country to immediately stop infringement and harassment.